HOMAN, the current border czar, and one of the architects of Project 2025, to face criminal charges. More North Korean soldiers going to Russia and Ukraine. The fall of Putin. Is Russia's economy about to collapse? And let's look at John Fetterman. Welcome to Scrying Out Loud. My name is Trevor. First off, a huge thank you to everybody who's subscribed to the channel, all the new subscribers. Thank you for liking, watching, commenting on the videos, sharing the videos, promoting the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you've given money through the super thanks, buy me a coffee or Venmo, a huge, huge thank you. I do think I'm going to start offering personal readings again. So if you're interested in that, you can find the email in the channel description, but only on like a laptop. Like it's not displayed on mobile devices, but you can find my contact for Blue Sky. If you want to message me on there, that will also work. Okay, so some images I got. Tom Homan, the current border czar. I could see him being taken away in handcuffs. Um, but it felt like it was like an immediate event. Like something happened and then like 2 hours later he was being taken away in handcuffs. I don't know that it's related to the actions as border czar, so we'll look into that. Is the Russian economy about to fall or collapse? Well, oil prices have dropped dramatically. And I think this is making Putin kind of nervous. The images I got from him is it felt like he was scrambling and running around and trying to figure out how to pay for things. And I think paying for conscripts is going to be more and more difficult because I don't think the money's there. So I think that's why we're seeing more North Koreans going to Russia because they'll do it for cheaper or for free. And then John Fetterman in a report, um, his staff reported him being, maybe suicidal, driving really erratically. His staff doesn't really want to work for him anymore. Apparently, him and his wife aren't really talking. How much of this is true, I don't really know, but I did see him driving away from DC rather erratically and quickly. And so I want to look at that. I want to see if he's actually going to leave the Senate and if his health is okay. Because, he's had a stroke. He spent some time in a hospital for depression. I get the feeling that things aren't okay, but we'll look at that as well. But let's start with Tom Homan. So, excuse my if I sound a little nasally, it's just allergies. Okay, so Tom, Tom Homan face charges. So all the videos are for entertainment purposes only. There's a description in the description box and on the channel's page. It almost feels like it's a domestic issue. Something along those lines, like he gets into a physical altercation with somebody. And it feels like the charges might be state charges, so there's nothing the felon can do. Although I don't think the felon's going to be around much longer. Face charges. I do think he's going to face some civil suits along with others, particularly for separating children from their parents. Let's see what the cards say. He's nervous that the guardrails aren't going to hold, that his protection as being border czar is tentative at best. And I mean, it's not really a cabinet level position, right? Or at least that's my understanding. I could be wrong about that, but it's more of just he's appointed border czar. So I don't think he has the same protections as some people in the cabinet might have. In the environment around, there's going to be a point where he feels isolated and alone. I don't think that's right now. I think that's in the future, the Hermit card. The seeds have been planted, and this is him, you know, it's in the upper right, so we'll have to kind of pull the rest of the cards. But I feel like this is him planting the seeds to some of the things in Project 2025, but also really planting the seeds for the child separation policy at the border. We're going to hear some emotional messages coming forward about the things that he caused. And we kind of already are. At the center of the readings, the Democrats. The Democrats, when they take back the House, I think might start investigating him. You get the Six of Swords moving on. Like I don't think he's gonna be border czar for 4 years. I just don't see that happening. Some sort of surprising new beginning. We get the voters. The voters didn't vote for him. And I think Republicans are going to start to hear more and more about that at these protests, which need to keep going for the resistance to win. And some sort of message coming forward about money. So he's worried about his protections. He thinks that he's vulnerable to Democratic investigations because he's not a cabinet level official, or at least it's a new type of official. Um, Maybe something to do with money too, how he's spending money could be what they investigate. Something surprising happens that starts a new beginning, which makes the Democrats investigate. And then they start looking into the seeds of how this child separation policy came about and his involvement in it. And I think that might lead to some criminal referrals. Uh, and in the near future, I know this is in the environment around, but I feel like this is in the near future. He's going to feel very isolated and alone. And um, the felon, just like everybody else that doesn't fit the narrative, will abandon him if he's still around, or Vance will abandon him. We're going to hear more and more messages about how horrible things are with these kidnappings and things that are going on the border, especially with children not having legal representations. I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves this post in a hope that that ends things, but I don't think it will end things. Because I think the voters are going to demand that it be investigated. So, yeah, well, here's the courts right here. So, and then things move very quickly. And then we see him walking away. Wouldn't be surprised if he turns on a few people. He seems kind of like not a super reliable or super loyal person. I don't think he'll turn on the felon per se, but I think he might blame some lower level people for things. He seems like that type of person. So will he face criminal charges? I think so. I mean, I don't think it's going to be till the Democrats take back the House, and it might not be until the Republicans aren't in the White House, but it looks that way. Okay, so what's going on in Russia? So more North Korean soldiers going to Russia. What's this about? Why are more North Korean soldiers going to Russia? I feel like it's all about money. I think things are going a lot worse for Russia than is being reported because, a lot of journalists aren't in Russia anymore for their own safety. So all we get is the propaganda. So what's going on with these North Koreans? Yeah, it's like I'm getting an image of, Putin and Kim Jong-un talking, and I feel like Putin might try to do something that's really gonna spark some controversy, like possibly trading some nuclear secrets for soldiers. Because I don't think Russia really has money to pay for anything. Let's see. Yeah, abuse of power, the Emperor card. Something highly abusive, breaking international norms, even, not just. Yeah, there's just spy in the camp, though, and the environment around. I've always said that he worries about being assassinated, and I've often thought that he will be assassinated. Look at the Empress card. This is just confirmation. This is about Russia. Get the Queen of Wands, passion, and the environment around. I feel like this is the Ukrainians, although I do think they're starting to tire of being in war, but I think they're still very passionate. And Putin's in this like illusionary and delusionary state that I don't think his power is real. Like, don't get me wrong, he's definitely controlling Russia, but I don't think he's as powerful on the world stage as he thinks he is. We get the King of Wands too in the environment around. There's going to be a lot of people speaking out about what Russia's doing, in particular with North Korea. Yeah, financial stability is an illusion, and strength is in the environment around. So he's the strong man, but again, I think like strength is kind of an illusion. And here's him feeling isolated and alone. So abusing power, doing things based on an untrue set of facts, which is going to lead to him being isolated. So he's operating on like a set of facts that aren't true, but he believes them to be true. So the financial stability in particular is not true. And whose financial stability? Russia's. So I think the price of oil going down to, I think last time I looked, it was a little under $60 a barrel. That really affects Russia. I don't think the felon intended to ruin the economy for Russia, but he did in some sense because India was buying Russian oil. I'm sure they still are, but now they're paying a lot less for it. He's definitely concerned that there's some sabotage going on or spy in the camp. He's worried about his health. He's also worried about people speaking passionately out against him. And I think this is inside of Russia. I think there might become an opposition that becomes a little bit more powerful just because the police forces there that normally crack down on those things are starting to wane too, and maybe also not really be part of on Putin's side. And the biggest illusion, though, is that he has strength and control over the country. I don't think he really does. We might see something big happen there. Wouldn't surprise me. He's defending himself. He realizes the current plan isn't working, so he's trying something else. Some new leadership, somebody new comes onto the scene. I don't know who it is, but that leads to his downfall. So I think the new person is really coy, and we're not going to know their name until after Putin is gone. So it's kind of like, organizing attacks using secret messaging apps and stuff like that. I do think we'll see more car bombs. Those were part of my 2025 predictions, and so far we've seen several. So I think we will continue to see that. Okay. Um, so I'm recording this on Saturday morning. The Labour Party did win in Australia. So that was a prediction we had, and they won a majority, which is a little bit. I was a little worried that it might be a hung parliament, but they did win a majority. So Okay. How is Putin doing? What's going on there? What's going on with Putin? What do we need to know about Vladimir Putin? He's very mad about oil prices. And pick that up because they were already selling their oil at a discounted rate to India, and they were buying it. They were allowing India to buy it in rupees because of the sanctions. And now that the US is trying to impose these tariffs on India, I think India will continue to. India has no reason to go along with the sanctions. But that's going to affect their economy as well. So in the water, I see him sitting in like a chair behind a desk, and he just looks really despondent, like in a state of disbelief about something. Sure what that's about. Yeah, there's something going on behind the scenes that we can't see with him. Something we don't know about. The Six of Swords and the environment around. He's trying to figure out an escape route, a way out of the war in Ukraine to save face, but that's seeming more and more unlikely with the US signing that mineral agreement. It's not really a deal, and I don't know that it'll actually hold up. People celebrating in freedom in the upper right. We'll have to see what the other cards are to put that one in context. The truth and the environment around. Yeah, at the center, we get the Six of Pentacles, giving and receiving of loans and debts, or just giving and receiving of goods or things of value is the center of the attention or the center of the reading, which I think is the focus of his attention because I don't think that that's going well. I think the economic state is such that getting items into Russia is going to start to become more and more difficult. Um, because just like everywhere else, if the EU is facing tariffs, they might make up that money around globally, right? Companies might globally make up that money rather than putting it all in one place. And I think people are already stretched pretty thin. I mean, the greed card, the greedy merchant, the environment around also could be wish fulfillment. Here's the felon, the King of Pentacles. Bombshells and surprises in the environment around. And again, the Page of Swords, some sort of spy in the camp, some sabotage, something. So something behind the scenes about their economy. And maybe it's being sabotaged from within. It could be. It could be kind of like in the US where people are just deciding not to spend money. It is almost, we're getting to the summer months. People might start growing food, for example, not using the grocery stores on a larger scale than normal. Something to do with the felon has ruined the economy, but people are celebrating in the sense that I think this is going to lead to more freedom because I don't think he's going to last very long. He's trying to figure out how to get out, but the problem is the truth. And then something really shocking happens here. Some sort of big bombshell and surprise is revealed. And the greedy merchant, I do think, is the correct interpretation of this card. I think this causes people to stop spending, which further erodes the economy of Russia. See what's underneath. You have poverty, emotional messages, victory. I don't think it's Putin's victory, though. We get the Sun card, full illumination of the facts. So, yes, I think we need to maybe focus on that again in the near future. But something's going on there. Okay, so what about John Fetterman? This report from, was it, maybe it was the New York Times. I can't remember where I read it. Um, Detailed a whole bunch of really mistreatment of his staff. His staff won't even ride in a car with him anymore because he's driving erratically. They think he's, possibly even suicidal. This really concerned me because if you remember my 2025 world predictions, I said that there was going to be a really public suicide. And maybe that's already happened, maybe it hasn't. Um, but I got this image of him and he's like driving away from DC and just driving crazy, weaving in and out of traffic, going 30, 40 miles an hour over the speed limit. It just seemed really, really chaotic. And his energy feels unbalanced. Is the only word I can think of. It's like yesterday when I was looking at his energy, it felt kind of sad. This morning it feels a little bit more manic. So it's like this bipolar type energy. So let's just first ask, will he leave the Senate? Will Fetterman leave the Senate? And then we'll look at his health. But let's just ask, will he leave the Senate? People are asking him to, begging him to almost. He was praised for checking into a hospital to get help with depression while he was a senator. I think that's good. Everybody should focus on mental health. But I don't think that's going to be the case this time around. I think it's going to be like, okay, if you need to do this, you need to go. Yeah. Hmm. That's a no card. He's not going to necessarily leave the Senate, but well, let me rephrase that. He might leave the Senate. We'll keep going with the reading. But we get toxicity, addictions, mis and disinformation. This also could be lying to yourself, self lies, like trying to say it's not really as bad as they say it is. A new financial reality. Feels more like a yes card. Justice in the upper right. The Democrats and the environment around, I think a lot of them are asking for him to leave so that Josh Shapiro could appoint a new senator. We get victory at the center of the reading. I think the problem here is that this victory is him becoming a senator, I guess, what, about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago in a few months. I think that was the start of the problem. Look at the star card. So there's some hope. Yeah, something big's changed. Something's happened. I don't know if it's organic in the sense of there's some sort of organic problem with his brain, or if it's something that could be treated with medicines because, all the dopamine and serotonin and all those things are messed up. But it feels like it's I mean, a lot of depression and a lot of bipolar stuff is organic in nature, so it could just be that. Something big though is happening. That could just be the publishing of this piece. Let's keep going. The seeds are planting. It looks like he's walking away here. The Seven of Pentacles. The imagery is the man taking his money and walking away. We get the Empress card. So lots of toxicity after his victory. And I think he's having a problem discerning reality. That's what I'm picking up on. I don't think he really can discern reality at this point in time, which is sad. Something big happened. That could be this piece being published. It could just be some incidents that we don't know about. And then he became, he's senator, but the people need justice. And I don't know that while he will vote along the party lines for the most part, he has said some things that are a little pro MAGA from time to time. But I always just kind of justified that as well. He's from Pennsylvania and he wants to win re-election. I feel like he might just take his money and run, so to speak, because of the Democrats, which create a new financial reality. And if he does that, I think there's some really good hope that he can get some help. I fear if he stays in the Senate that he can't get any help. But he's staring at this prized possession, which is his Senate seat. But he realizes things aren't going well. Big bombshells and surprises the Page of Cups. And mentally, he's feeling really trapped. He feels wounded in battle. He's isolated. And he's having a hard time discerning reality. And we get the Hanged Man pausing in suspension. He's in a state of reflection, but unfortunately, I think the mental health condition itself isn't allowing him to have like we might sit down and reflect on whether we should make decision A or decision B, but if you're having a problem discerning reality, that might not really be possible. Let's just ask about, I'm going to use this deck again. Let's just ask about his health. What do we need to know about his health? Doesn't feel good. It feels very erratic. Feels like the best thing that could happen to him would be for him to get caught driving erratically and then having to face that reality rather than it just being a story, which he can deny. But by all accounts, there's so many sources that I just can't imagine it's not true. It feels true. And I can see him just driving crazy. Like when you're in the city and you're on a street passing somebody in the turning lane, right, to get around them, like that kind of just real crazy movement, passing people in no passing zones. What do we need to know about John Fetterman's birth? It just feels heavy and sad. The Justice card. I get the chariot card. I think that's the erratic movement in the traffic. The chariot card could be about forward momentum, but it also could be erratic, right? The Ten of Cups, thinking about his family, reunion celebrations. It sounds like he's almost estranged, though, from his wife. I don't think that's entirely accurate, but it's like they're not having good conversations. Get the Emperor and the environment around, abuse of power. This is him, I think, mistreating his staff. Yikes. At the center of the reading, we get the Ten of Pentacles. This is the card for inheritance. We get the King of Swords. Logic, consistency, and the environment around. Get the Queen of Wands. Passion. Messages. And then we get being left out in the cold. So we get justice, and then we get the Ten of Pentacles. Ten of Pentacles can be about inheritance. And we get the Five of Pentacles, being left out in the cold. It's almost like he feels like he deserves this. Like he doesn't deserve to be healthy, right? Like his justice is being left out in the cold. For whatever reason, he feels that way. The Ten of Pentacles concerns me. Uh, yeah, his passion is his family, but I think that's kind of estranged. And so the Ten of Pentacles being at the center is a little concerning because it's about inheritance. So we get erratic behaviors, erratic movements, which differ from the consistency in the past. And we get fiery, passionate messages coming forward, such as the piece published about him abusing his staff. A lot of sleepless nights, a lot of anxiety, feeling isolated and alone, juggling too much, feeling very overwhelmed, feeling sabotaged, feeling like this is some like a new reality, almost like it's like he's confused about the reality. And then we get bombshells and surprises, new beginnings. So I don't know. I think I think he definitely needs some intervention of some kind. It feels like he's having some dangerous thoughts. I'll just put it that way. All right. Thank you for watching. I'll be back with another video soon.